Hi everyone, I'm Moody Boo, and I am back with a comparison video. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for being here. And if you're not new, I really appreciate you coming back. I try to post twice a week, usually on the weekends. Sometimes I throw in an extra video. And the more that my channel grows, the more videos I will post. So be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. And let's get to it. So I have never been a fan of Oud Bouquet by Lancome. Huge hype over it. And so I thought, oh, this is an easy blind buy. So I even blind bought the original, the older formulation, not the new one, because I had heard that was the better of the two. I found it for a really good price from a reputable seller website. And so I was like, ah, here it comes. And I mean, our gourmand oud. I love Mikalef's versions of a gourmand oud, like Vanille Oud, or I think it's Oud Gourmand, or Gourmet, Oud Gourmet. And I really adore both of those. So I thought, well, Lancome has a couple of perfumes I really like, the Lavande one and the Jasmine. I love both of those. So easy peasy chicken dinner till I got here. And then I was like, I'm so bored I'm gonna fall asleep before I could even finish sniffing this perfume. It was like, it doesn't even blend well. So the oud was really light in this. So I think the notes of this are like oud, rose, saffron, praline, and I think vanilla. And that's the same with the perfume that I'm comparing it to, which is by Swiss Arabian. And it's called Shaghaf Oud. And you guys actually recommended this. You said, if you don't like this, but you like the idea of it, you should try Swiss Arabian Shaghaf Oud. So I went ahead and bought this decant. And I have been comparing them for a while. Wasn't real impressed the first several times with this one either. They do smell very similar in many aspects. But this one, it was like just a little more amped up, harder, almost harder version of Oud Bouquet. And I was still bored. Then that thing happens, that happens with me sometimes. I put it away, walked away from both of them. And then about a week ago, I started comparing them again. The difference is, this time I started closing my eyes when I was sniffing them both, deep sniffing, you know, going for the deep dive on both of them to see the differences and the similarities. And that's when I realized, when I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. And I was wrong. Oud Bouquet is not that bad. It's almost lovely. It's not quite there for me, but it's way better than I originally thought. Now, Oud Bouquet, to me, doesn't blend as well as Swiss Arabian's Shaghaf Oud. Because the praline, the sweet notes, the gourmand notes, and the oud and the saffron compete. They don't blend well. And the type of proportions that they used, they don't complement each other that well as far as the notes in Oud Bouquet. So I still have a lot of issue with it, but I don't dislike it like I used to. I actually appreciate it now much more than I used to. And the difference is, to me, Shaghaf Oud is more of a rose oud combination, and the oud is much more pronounced in this, whereas the gourmet notes, the praline, is much more reduced, and it's blended better. than Oud Bouquet, in my opinion. The rose in this, here's the crazy thing. I'm not a huge rose oud combo kind of a person. A lot of them smell the same. Like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Ding, ding. So the rose is never pronounced. It's rarely, I should say, never say never. But rarely is there a perfume where the rose is pronounced enough with the oud. There's enough of it to compete with the oud to make it smell good to me, to make it smell interesting. But most of the time, the rose is kind of a back burner kind of rose, and the oud is usually more pronounced, which means it just ends up coming across as kind of a sour rose smell, in my opinion. And so I've rarely liked a rose oud combination. The difference is this one, the rose is more pronounced. Now I would appreciate it being even more pronounced, but it's more so than a lot of those rose oud combinations that I've smelled in the past. And it's a nice, sweet, creamy rose. So most of the sweetness from this doesn't give me the visualization of gourmet, of gourmand. Even though I'm sure the sweetness, a lot of that is from the praline and vanilla or whatever. And the dryness is from the saffron. But the rose, it comes across like it's the rose that's sweet and creamy. And so combined with that oud, it's lovely. The more I wear it, the more I really appreciate Swiss Arabian Shaghaf Oud. And honestly, the more I have worn Oud Bouquet, the more I'm appreciating it. It will never be a favorite of mine. And I will never believe that it deserved all of the hype that it received, but that's just me. But I do appreciate it much more. Now I am going to spray them both again. See, at the very beginning of Oud Bouquet, I think that's where the saffron comes out the most, and that's when this is the least sweet. Once it dries down after 10-15 minutes, the praline and the sweet notes really come to the fore. You got to be careful or they will become beast mode. They will Marshawn Lynch your ass all over the place. So, and as far as the prices go, now I'm not sure how much the original goes for now, or if you can even get the original formulation of it. But I got it on a really good price. I think I got it for like $80-90 for this bottle. But to me still, the sweet gourmand notes don't blend well with the oud. They compete. They don't play well in the sandbox together. Whereas Shaghaf Oud, they do. It's much better blended. And you get more saffron, I think, with the Swiss Arabian. Now the sweetness is really coming out of Oud Bouquet. And that saffron is still there, but it does get lighter as it dries down. And the oud is really light. The rose, I don't get any rose to well, I shouldn't say any. In the deep dry down, there is a bit of the rose that comes out and kind of peeks out past the praline and the vanilla. But it's never very prominent. And I'm really craving more of that. And a little less praline, I think, would make this perfume better to me. But I don't hate it now. I'm really surprised. But I think I like Shaghaf Oud better. I really do. As far as the performance, they both perform fairly similar for me. And not great. Neither one of them perform outstanding in my experience. And I usually do 2 sprays with both of them. And I get anywhere between 6 and 8 hours, which isn't bad. That's fine. But you would think for an oud perfume, Yeah, a lot of times I have to kind of pull back on spraying on some of my oud perfume. Whereas Shaghaf Oud, I think you can get it like on Fragrance X for like 50 bucks. And I want to say it's like 60 on Swiss Arabian's website. So you've got some options on as far as a full bottle of that is. And I think it's a 100 ml bottle. It looks like a 100 ml bottle, whereas this is 50. So, you know, it's just a preference thing. I think that Shaghaf Oud is slightly more masculine. You know, if unisex is here, it's just a tick or two over because it is a little more oud prominent. And definitely Oud Bouquet, I think, is a tick or two over on the feminine side because the sweet notes, I think, are more dominant than the oud. So, and it's softer, and the edges are all smoothed out in Oud Bouquet, whereas Shaghaf Oud, it's a little harder. It's a little less refined, but I kind of like that sometimes. As you can tell, I'm not very refined either. So anyway, it's a preference thing. Do you like it a little more? This one's probably a little classier version of the notes than this one. But this one, to me, just has a little more dimension and interest. Shaghaf Oud does. I think they both could be formal. I think they both could be, well, fun. I think Swiss Arabians is a little more of a statement maker than Oud Bouquet. They both leave a lovely sillage, though. I will say that. I like them best when I'm smelling them with a little bit of distance than when I get my nose right up to them. I do like the sillage both of them leave. I do like this one a little better, but I've already said that. And price on this one is better. But it's still a different perfume if you do a deep dive, even though the notes, according to Fragrantica, are identical. Doing a deep dive, they are different. There are similarities, but they use different proportions of the notes, and that can change everything. Just because they have the same notes doesn't mean that they smell identical. That will never be true, because it's the proportions, it's the type of notes that they use to represent the rose and the oud and the praline. You know, it's the quality of notes they use. It's the way they're put together. You know, there's a lot of variables there. All right. Well, thank you again for being here. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and comment if you want. If you don't, it's all good. I still love you.